Well, I had an idea. The idea would be to have a kind of a walking and running machine. And so I sketched up a gimbaled harness system that had 5 degrees of freedom, so you could rotate, but then it would have somehow apply a constant force at the center of mass to simulate gravity. So that was a physical thing that would clamp onto you, and it had these rings so that, the gimbal set up. And NASA was interested, and they said, we might be able to have a position here, but you have to write a proposal. And I thought they said it had to be accepted, which I did write it, but it did not get accepted. And there were some issues with this ergospace because it had, you have to develop force somehow. So is it springs or it's pneumatic cylinders or hydraulic cylinders? So there's lots of ways to do it, but when you consider space, they're really strict on what you can do. Because if it's a hydraulic cylinder, if the cylinder leaks, then the fluid gets out. So I was like, the meeting ended, and I go to my office, and I'm still kind of curious about it, and I pull out a ruler, one of these rulers, and I put my body against the wall, and measure the thickness, and then the width, and approximate it as an ellipse, and realize that like 2 pounds per square inch difference would have equaled my body weight, So I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. That's a lot less than I thought. I thought you'd have to like pull a huge vacuum. That was but it's not true. We're working late, so we decided to go get a hamburger. McDonald's were sketching things out on these placemats, so a lot got basically ironed out. Seals, I'm pretty sure we even talked about like waders, so you could get rid of the bag. Well, that would be for positive pressure. So that said, well, why not, reverse the pressure and unload? And so, because before it was to load somebody in space, that's how it started. But very quickly it was obvious that if you're going to load somebody down, you can also unload them. And so we had our hamburger, took the placemats, threw them in the wastebasket, and went back to the proposal. We ended up building most of it in the garage. When you came and asked if it'd be okay to use that in a project, I think that's the way it was.
Grad school project.
Grad school project. Yeah, I said, sure. And I hope I think I said something like, I hope you have a good experience.
And it was still sitting out there after 10, 11 years. It was sitting in the garage with a big blanket over the top.
Yeah.
And I was studying entrepreneurship at Stanford in the master's program, and it kind of got me thinking like, there was a school project that we needed a topic for because, it's one of these like simulation startup programs. So you have to do everything from come up with an idea to build a business plan to like a presentation at the end. And we had a group, and we were doing like a hardware encryption for cinema movies. And after a quarter of the course goes, you have a checkpoint, and so we go and pitch, and the evaluator's like, guys, I hate to tell this to you, but there's 10 companies doing what you're talking about doing right now. Pick another topic. And we're like, come again? Yeah, so we get the thumbs up to go ahead and use the bubble for this grad school project. And part of that is trying to figure out how to actually design and build this thing, to some extent, because we've got to pitch how it's going to work, we've got to pitch the technology.
And when Sean came and said, I was happy, you know, that oh, you can use it for a school project. School project. I've done school projects, but I didn't think it was going to be a company that sells an international product.
One of my friends, Alex, that kind of kicked the tires on this thing. So my friend Alex back for a ceremony, and somebody there he was talking about the idea, and somebody there knew Alberto, and was like, hey, you guys should contact this person up at Nike. So Alex did, and you remember that we were sitting in the kitchen right there, and you just walked by the door, and we were sitting there talking, and you know, my dad hears Nike. He kind of peeks his head in, and then he hears his name Alberto, and he kind of stops us, and he's like, hey, what did you say? What was the guy's name? Who were you talking to? And my friend Alex goes, oh, I just this guy at Nike named Alberto. And Rob goes, well, his last name's not Salazar, is it? And I never forget it. Alex goes, well, I'm not actually sure what his last name is. I'll ask him. Next day, Alex comes back and he's like, yeah, his last name's Salazar. Do you know him? Or my dad's just like, man, do you have any idea who it is that you're speaking with? Like, look him up. Now, that was the year they had the Olympic trials in Sacramento, close by. And so Alberto was like, it sounds like an interesting, idea. I'll come. And he was very into any kind of technology that could help, help him compete. And so he said, oh yeah, I'll come down and check out your prototype in the garage. And so he drove down and he got in it. And so we had spent all our time kind of restoring the old bubble, right? Took the blanket off, dusted it, took the electronics from like the 80s, like try to figure out how to hook those things back up together. And we got it working. And then he hopped in, and within like 10 seconds, he leaned over and was like, hey, I'll take 20 of these things. So we had this, this grad school project finished. We got all this kind of general idea and research put together. We had this partnership forging with Nike, but we really still didn't have very much at that point. And enter Mr. Tom Allen over here. We've known each other for a long time, ever since we were 14 years old, kicking the ball around on the soccer field. But yeah, we were just kind of playing around, and I was here in this garage, which is where the only space that we had available to build anything. One day Tom comes up and is like, hey, I hear you guys are building something pretty cool. He was pretty much like, begging to help, work on this thing. But what were you doing? What were you doing at that time?
I was teaching swimming and coaching track and field.
Yeah.
I was pretty much unemployable in all sorts of ways.
And we were looking for free labor, so it kind of worked out.
So I showed up and they had this really kind of primitive machine where you had to lift this big heavy bar, and it had like bicycle brakes on it that would release it, and you had to stand on a scale and then kick the scale off to the side or reach in the bag and try to grab it. And you're thinking, man, this is not a product. And then it starts, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this is the best feeling I've ever had running. And it just immediately put a light bulb on it, like, wow, this could, from my background, this could change the running world. That feeling is something that I'll always remember as just an absolutely life-changing moment for me.
Yeah, well, and Tom, you ran at Cal, and played soccer at Stanford, and Dad played baseball at Stanford. It's really that whole athletics, affinity for sports is kind of been a good theme, running through the company. And anybody that we work with, we want to share the passion, for what we have, and obviously the technology has gone and will continue to go a lot further than just the sports application, but that kind of core, root of where everything came from has been really important and a consistent theme. It's what drew all of us to to this in the first place. Tom's in the mix now. We get our machines functional. We have something that we actually feel like we're comfortable and proud to show people, and we made a decision to start a company out of this and really make it go after it. So we did a killer job with that. I think over the years this technology is out in pretty much every professional athletics facility, probably every major hospital system.
It's been these 20 years has been a really interesting experience for me. I almost feel like I've just kind of been along for the ride with these guys. There's only ever been 4 microgravity treadmills developed from scratch that are commercially available, and these guys have led the development of, and it's been really just impressive to see the technological advancements of each of those, and the progress and the kind of new way of looking at something.
It's really been a total team effort, and I think we're very fortunate to be able to work with good people internally amongst ourselves, but some really talented engineering contacts that I have over in Estonia really help put a lot of this machine together. We've got a great manufacturing contact over there as well that helps us prototype things, and it takes a village to build one of these things, and we've got a pretty damn good village, in my opinion. I think why you build a business, like Tom said, it's not financially driven from that being the primary reason. I think we've seen over the years, and just my experience in these other businesses and stuff, is if you build a business just to make money, you might be successful, but I think you probably won't be, because it's too easy to give up, at that point. When you have a mission and you're doing something that you really believe in and is important to do, outside of the financial reward, that's what keeps you going. Because it's not, doing this stuff is not easy. How many times are we yelling at each other in the garage or the kitchen? Who needs that, extra stress in your life? But it only matters, and makes sense if what you're going toward in the end is worth it. This stuff makes people's dreams come true, right? How many times have you seen people cry, right? After using a machine because they're doing something they thought they lost.
From an effect of what's happened with American distance running, I don't think there's anyone who's had a bigger impact from creating a technology standpoint in that than these 2 guys. And then I also think our other founder, Jimmy, he came from the running world as a coach, and his ability to kind of take this really cool product and shape it into training programs and work with our customers to develop those has been hugely impactful as well.
But where else can this thing make waves and change people's lives and really help them gain something that they've lost, in the past? And so we've seen that, a lot with the elderly, being able to get up and walk again, people that have had, neuromuscular problems or suffered a stroke or something like that, being able to walk in a fall-safe environment. And, we're constantly just kind of looking for different ways, right? And listening to people, who are out there in the market, who are finding ways to use these machines. It's pretty freaking cool when you're next to somebody who's experiencing that for the first time, that they can walk, they can move, they can even stand, in those cases. That's what drives us, it's not to make this $1 billion company. If what we're doing is good and is valuable, everything else will come.
When we started Boost, high performance versions of things like this, they cost more than $80,000, and we are focused and very focused on driving the cost of these things down so that we can get anyone on them. Because I've never seen anybody get on one of these machines who didn't enjoy the experience, who didn't feel good. One of the interesting things about developing these treadmills is, and the design challenges, is designing for such a wide range of people. On one hand, we're working with the best athletes in the world, and then on the other hand, we're working with people who are dealing with neurological diseases, brain injuries, or just getting older. And things like how you control the speed and the amount of unweighting. We used to use touch screens to do that, and you dealing with an athlete running 18 miles an hour who's trying to tap a button on a touchscreen, it's really difficult because you're moving so much. Or you're dealing with someone who is visually impaired or blind, or someone who has Parkinson's. Tapping a little button on a touchscreen is really difficult. So that's one of the reasons we changed to knob controls, because even if someone's running really quickly, they can take a big wheel and they can spin it. Or if someone is visually impaired, they can grab it and it's tactile and they can play with it.
You know, it's been reinvigorating to discover all these new, you know, important and innovative facets to the design, you know, that really make this product easier and more effective for such a wide range and wide population to use.
We're trying to solve the problem for the actual user of the machine, but we also try to solve problems for the people who own the machine, or the practitioners who are working with the users of the machine. So that's one thing we learned from the Navy SEALs, is they were having to get so many people on that they didn't necessarily have the time to train everybody specifically on the machine, or able to like set a height for every person. And so their ability to just say, hey, go use the boost, and then that user can just enter their height and everything is done for them. It's a really, really big benefit for them.
The other thing that we did was bring this machine into the 21st century here, and it's got remote connectivity. So that allows us to even go in and troubleshoot, you know, and see what's going on if somebody has an issue, you know, or thinks they have an issue with the machine. It also allows us to store and send programs, you know, to the machine as well. So it's just a lot more functional from a data perspective, and allowing people to take advantage of, you know, knowledge not just within their facility, but also within other facilities as we work together, you know, in a community setting, to try to improve and share knowledge and make everybody's experience with the boost significantly better. And then another, you know, thing that we did with this system is we really improved one of probably the biggest complaints with these types of machines, which is the shorts, you know, and we went and sourced very special athletic fabrics and put these together so they're just a lot more comfortable to wear. They breathe a lot better, and you know, it just kind of goes in line with the theme of improving the overall customer experience. Our goal with this technology is really to make it the most accessible thing possible for everybody out there, you know, be that professional performance enhancement for professional athletics or recreational athletes, you know, just enabling better mobility and movement for people who are trying to walk and jog, or opening up an entire new, you know, world for people that have severe movement impairments like Parkinson's or stroke recovery, you know, or pediatric muscular dystrophy or spinal bifida. There's all kinds of ways that this thing is going to get used, and is really going to change the world and make people's lives better.